One of the most popular return measures based on discounted cash flows is the net present value or NPV. In this short video, we will discuss what time weighted cash flows are, how to calculate the NPV of a project, and how to decide if a project is attractive or not based on its NPV. We will also look at the properties of the NPV and its biases, limitations, and caveats. It is necessary to calculate time weighted cash flows for a project due to the concept of time value of money. Money today is more valuable than the same amount of money tomorrow. Thus, cash flows cannot be added up across time and have to be brought to the same point in time before adding them up. Depending on the movement through time, there are two processes. Discounting, when we bring future cash flows to the present, also called the present value of future cash flows. And second, almost everyone has heard about compound interest. Compounding is when today's cash flows are taken to the future. Since money is more valuable today than tomorrow, it is obvious that the present value will be lower than the value of cash flow in the future. As an example, getting 105 rupees 1 year from now could be equivalent to receiving just 100 rupees today. In this case, 100 rupees is the present value of 105 rupees a year later, and the associated rate of return, called the discount rate, is 5% per year. These formulas show how to move a single cash flow through time using discounting and compounding. Let us now look at how NPV is calculated for a project. Three factors are important for any project. One, the expected cash flows, which in this case are CF1, CF2, and so on, for a period of n years. Second, the life of the project, which is n years. And finally, the discount rate R, which reflects the hurdle rate for the project. The NPV is essentially a summation of the present values of all different cash flows, positive or negative, which a project generates. Once the NPV is calculated, how should we decide if the project is worth taking or not? The decision rule is simple. If the NPV is greater than 0, then the project is attractive and should be accepted. If it is less than 0, it should be rejected. In terms of return, a positive NPV implies that the project will earn a return greater than the discount rate. If we use the firm's cost of capital as a discount rate, a positive NPV will mean that the project is expected to earn an annualized rate of return which is higher than the firm's cost of capital. Let us look at an example to calculate time weighted cash flows and NPV. Let us assume that Disney is planning to set up a new theme park in Rio, Brazil. The table shows the expected cash flows for the project. The numbers are in millions. As shown in column 2, the project needs net investments in the first 4 years, starting with $2 billion right now. The net cash flows are expected to turn positive from year 4, and the expected cash flows have been projected till year 10. For now, let us assume that the firm's cost of capital is estimated to be 8.46%, and we will use this as a discount rate to calculate time weighted cash flows or present values. The last column shows the present value of all cash flows discounted at 8.46% per year. As an example, the present value of 1 billion, which is supposed to be invested after year 1, is 922 million. As you can see in column 3, a terminal value of 11.275 billion is mentioned in year 10. We will discuss the terminal value in detail in the next slide. If you add up the numbers in the last column from year 0 to year 10, we get an NPV of 3.296 billion. Since this is a positive NPV project, Disney should go ahead and invest in a new theme park in Rio. Now, let's discuss the concept of a terminal value. In the previous slide, we had estimated cash flows only till year 10. However, Rio Disney has an expected life which is far in excess of 10 years, maybe 30 or 40 years. Thus, we need to incorporate the value created by running the theme park for all years after year 10. To do that, one technique is to assume that cash flows grow at a stable rate, let's say 2%, from year 11 and go on forever. Anyone familiar with different cash flows in finance would immediately recognize this as a growing perpetuity. The formula for calculating the present value of a growing perpetuity is CF divided by R minus G. Thus, we take the cash flow of year 10, which is 715 million, and assume that it grows at 2% per year with a discount rate of 8.46%. This gets us to a terminal value of 11.275 billion in year 10. As you can see, the terminal value is extremely sensitive to both the growth rate and the discount rate, and hence it is quite easy to manipulate it to achieve desired NPVs, something to watch out for in practice for sure. It is quite useful to keep some properties of NPV in mind. First, NPVs can be added across projects. Second, there is an inherent assumption in the formula that intermediate cash flows, that is the cash flows received in the intermediate years, are reinvested into the project and would be able to earn a return equal to the discount rate. If instead the firm intends to withdraw the intermediate cash flows instead of reinvesting them in the project, the NPV calculation needs to be adjusted. Third, you can use time varying discount rates while calculating NPVs. There are several reasons why discount rates might change over the course of a project's life, like changes in interest rate, risk characteristics, or financing mix of the project. As a simple example, consider a software development project with a life of 4 years. In a fast changing industry, the project could become riskier as time goes by due to technology uncertainty and the risk of technology becoming obsolete. Thus, you can use the discount rate which changes and increases with time. In this example, the discount rates have been assumed to increase by 1% every year. Finally, it is important to understand the biases and limitations of the NPV as a return measure. First, NPV is stated in absolute terms rather than as a percentage. Thus, it does not factor in the scale of the project. As an example, project A, which has an NPV of 200, might look more attractive than project B with an NPV of 100, but in terms of percentage returns, project A might be a much worse project since it might need 10 or 100 times the initial investment needed in project B. Proponents of the NPV rule of course argue that it is a surplus value which matters no matter what the investment. This argument might be problematic in scenarios where there are multiple projects but limited capital to make investments. Second, the NPV does not control for the life of the project. Thus, when we compare two projects with different lives, the NPV rule will be biased towards accepting longer term projects as they might be expected to create more surplus in absolute terms. In spite of all its limitations, NPV remains a popular return measure used in practice to select and reject projects.